It started as just another quiet evening in a small town bar, the kind of place where everyone seems to know each other, or at least thinks they do. That night, a Navy SEAL veteran named Jess walked in alone, hoping for a cold drink and a little peace. But instead of a warm welcome, she got something else entirely. The bar owner took one look at her, made a snap judgment, and asked her to leave. No reason given, no explanation, just cold eyes and a few sharp words. Jess didn't argue. She'd seen worse in her life and walked out without saying much. But what the bar owner didn't know was who Jess really was or who she had standing behind her. You see, Jess wasn't just any veteran. She was part of an elite Navy SEAL team, a group closer than family. When they found out what happened, they didn't get mad. They didn't start a fight. They just made a plan. The next evening, the bar's door swung open again. One by one, Jess's SEAL teammates walked in, strong, silent, and focused. The same bar owner who kicked Jess out the night before now faced something he never saw coming. What happened next changed everything for the bar, the owner, and the people watching it all unfold. Stick around because this story isn't just about one moment of judgment. It's about what loyalty really looks like and how one decision can echo far louder than expected. Jess hadn't even told her team what happened at first. That's not who she is. Years in the Navy SEALs taught her to stay calm under pressure, to pick her battles. But when one of her teammates, Mike, noticed something was off, she finally opened up. It wasn't about pride. It was about principle. She explained how the bar owner had looked her up and down, made assumptions, and told her she wasn't welcome there. No reason, no incident, just a feeling she wasn't the kind of person he wanted in his place. The team didn't explode with anger. That's not how they operate. Instead, a quiet, shared understanding passed between them. These were men and women who had trained together, fought together, and trusted each other with their lives. So when one of them was disrespected, it mattered to all of them. It wasn't about revenge. It was about showing up for the teammate who'd never once let them down. Word spread quietly through the group chat. The plan was simple. Nothing loud, nothing aggressive. Just presence. The next evening, they arrived one by one, dressed like regular people, but there was something in their eyes that couldn't be missed. Calm. Focused. Unshakable. The bar was busy that night, locals filling the booths and stools like any other Friday. But as the SEALs settled in, the energy in the room shifted. The owner noticed right away. His face tensed. He recognized Jess now standing tall beside her team. And then the silence thickened. The bar owner, Rick, tried to play it cool. He poured drinks, made small talk, and pretended not to notice the quiet tension building around him. But it was obvious. He knew exactly who Jess was now, and he could feel the weight of every pair of eyes watching him from that corner booth. Jess didn't say a word. She didn't need to. Her team's presence said everything. Locals started to whisper. A couple of regulars recognized some of the faces. These weren't just any veterans. This was a Navy SEAL team. People who had served in places most of them only saw in headlines, and here they were in their small-town bar, sitting with a calm intensity that unsettled the usual rhythm of the place. Meanwhile, back in the kitchen, one of the waitresses, Tanya, watched everything unfold. She'd seen Rick treat customers unfairly before. He had a reputation for judging people by how they looked, where they were from, or how they spoke. But this felt different. Tanya had once thought about quitting because of how uncomfortable things got sometimes, especially when out-of-towners came in. But watching Jess sit with quiet dignity while her team backed her without a single raised voice, something about it struck her. Outside, a few more members of the team arrived, blending into the crowd. No uniforms, no attitude, just steady eyes and a message that didn't need words. And while no one said it out loud, the question hung heavy in the air. What would Rick do now, with everyone watching? The atmosphere inside the bar grew heavier with every passing minute. Rick's forced smile started to fade as he caught himself watching the SEALs more closely than any customer before. His hands trembled slightly as he poured another beer. He was a man used to being in control, but tonight, control felt like it was slipping through his fingers. Jess caught his gaze for a moment, steady and calm. She wasn't looking for a fight, but she wasn't going to back down either. Her team remained quiet, their presence alone filling the room with an unspoken power. The regulars whispered nervously among themselves, sensing the tension but unsure where it was headed. Tanya, the waitress, felt her heart pounding. She debated whether to say something or just keep serving, but part of her wanted to stand with Jess. She knew what it felt like to be judged unfairly, pushed aside for reasons that made no sense. Tonight, she was watching something bigger unfold, a test of respect, loyalty, and courage. Suddenly, the bar door opened again. More SEAL teammates stepped inside, their faces familiar to those who knew military life. The chatter died down even more. Rick's eyes flicked to the door, then back to the group. His jaw tightened. The tension was at its peak. Everyone was waiting to see if Rick would finally confront the situation or if Jess and her team would have to make the first move. It felt like a quiet storm ready to break, with emotions, pride, and past wounds swirling just beneath the surface. No one knew what would happen next, but everyone felt the weight of that moment, holding their breath for what was about to unfold. Just when it seemed like the tension couldn't get any thicker, something unexpected happened. One of the regulars, a quiet man who usually kept himself in the corner, stood up and walked toward Rick. The room fell silent again. No one had seen this coming. The man's voice was calm but firm as he spoke. "Rick, you need to think about what you're doing here." Rick's eyes darted between the man and Jess's team. He clenched his fists but didn't say a word. The bar had always been his domain, a place where he called the shots, but now those rules felt fragile. Then another surprise, Jess's teammate Mike recognized the man. "That's Old Man Harris," Mike whispered to Jess. "He was a Marine back in the day. Runs this town's veterans group." Suddenly, the stakes rose higher. This wasn't just about a personal grudge anymore. The bar owner was facing the scrutiny of a respected community figure, someone who carried influence and wasn't afraid to speak up. The whispers turned to murmurs as Harris continued, "We don't stand for disrespect here. Not to one of our own, especially someone who served this country." His words echoed in the bar like a challenge. Rick's posture shifted. He looked around and saw more people paying attention, some nodding quietly, others crossing their arms, waiting to see how he'd react. The balance of power was shifting fast, and the bar owner's silence grew heavier. Everyone knew this moment was a turning point, but no one could predict where it would lead. The pressure was mounting, and the story was far from over. Rick took a deep breath, the weight of the room pressing down on him. For the first time, he looked less like the bar owner in control and more like a man facing the consequences of his own actions. The silence stretched as everyone waited for his response. Finally, Rick spoke, his voice quieter than before. "I was wrong." The words hummed in the air, simple but powerful. "Jess, I'm sorry for how I treated you. No one should be judged like that." The room shifted. Some faces softened, others nodded in approval. It wasn't just an apology, it was a turning point. Jess stepped forward, her calm voice cutting through the tension. "Thank you. That means more than you know." Her team relaxed slightly, but their eyes stayed alert. This was the respect they had hoped for, but it had taken far too long to get here. Then came the twist no one expected. As Rick reached behind the bar, he pulled out a worn photo, an old picture of a young man in uniform. "That's my brother," Rick said quietly. "He served in the military too. He died overseas." His eyes glistened with something like regret. "I guess I was scared to see what reminded me of him and how I never really dealt with it." The room was silent again, but this time it was softer, filled with understanding. The conflict that seemed so black and white had layers, pain, loss, fear, all wrapped up in one man's story. Jess nodded slowly. "Thank you for sharing that." She glanced at her team. "Maybe tonight isn't just about what happened before. Maybe it's about moving forward." The bar, once filled with tension, now held a fragile peace. But as the Seals and Rick shared a quiet moment, the camera caught a figure slipping out the back door, someone watching the whole scene, their expression unreadable. The story wasn't quite over. As the night settled, the mood in the bar changed completely. What started as a night full of tension and hurt ended with a quiet understanding between people who, at first, seemed miles apart. Rick's apology wasn't just words. It was the beginning of something new. Jess and her Navy SEAL team weren't just strangers anymore. They became a part of the community, reminders of service, sacrifice, and the power of standing up for what's right.